Hey, I'm D'Angela.
And I'm David, and we're work spouses. Yep, you heard it right, but not the type that you're thinking of.
We realize you spend more time with people at work than you do with the people you love most.
We're going to discuss the interactions, such as the games played at work, building the right and avoiding the wrong relationships. D'Angela and I, we're currently work spouses.
Join us each week as we testify, help, and complain about work in corporate America. Welcome back, coworkers.
Welcome back.
We are in week, I don't know, of quarantine.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't keep track. I know someone put days. I was like, what day? Oh, okay. I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah,
as far as what day of quarantine it is.
Yeah. This is just the norm. I guess I'm just used to being home. It's almost like it doesn't even bother me anymore.
You said what?
It's almost like it doesn't even bother me anymore. So I'm used to it.
Well, that's good. You're adjusting well.
Yeah. So what's going on? Anything new? Anything hot? Anything that we must discuss?
Nothing is a must. I mean, I'm learning and understanding new things every day. And in the beginning, I was enjoying this alone time. And now I'm just at the point where it's like, I really can't have alone time because everybody think you're home and you're available to them. And I just feel like I can't escape anymore. She was constantly calling, constantly texting, constantly FaceTiming me. And I don't have a problem with having conversations with people, but this is becoming too much. Like,
so you can't lie, but like, oh, I was at the gala with
right,
groups.
Like, basically, I can't no more, and that sucks because I'm like, how do I get my alone time back now?
Yeah. They know where you're at. Yeah, you should be answering. You shouldn't be working after 6 o'clock.
Exactly. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So I've just learned now to like. One of my friends said she turned her phone on autopilot. I was like, wow, that's serious. I just turned mine to do not disturb. So.
Do you have rules? Do you pick up the phone throughout the whole, like, do you stop answering the phone at a certain time of the night, certain time of the day?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always have, but it's just that now the phone is an essential communication, like for even work. Like,
yeah,
if someone emails me like, oh, they emailed me, hey, I just sent you an email. It's like it's no type of like lag time no more. It's just like, hey, I'm calling you about this. Oh, I'm calling you about what I said. Oh, I'm calling you about that. Okay, well, wait, let me respond. But everything is like now it's like you should be available to me because what else are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
How about on your end?
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. Clockwork. Start work. Then I clock in. Once work is and the meetings are settled, then I clock in as a teacher and I do my lessons.
Daddy duties.
Yeah. For my third grade math class, and I'm running English and language arts session.
Okay, teacher. Okay, teacher.
Get that done, then the student gets upset because times the work. He gets frustrated and runs upstairs and stomps in his room. But there's a certain standard that
that you have to set.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I don't mind it. It's good. You learn you should know your kids' strengths and weaknesses, but spend this much time, you develop more. Then you just get more of an insight of how they learn and how should you approach it. Because I'm always a believer of don't think that your approach is always the correct approach.
Yes,
and that's
I think that's a good.
Yeah.
I think you're winning already as a parent with that approach because it's so many parents. It's like that's not how my mama raised me. That's not how my daddy raised me. And I'm like, you ain't. Okay, that's not the same person.
You gotta be flexible. Flexible.
Long day. Long day teaching and working and doing all these things.
Yeah. And that's the same thing. That's the same thing in the in all relationships. It's like you just can't. Well, especially with your kids, it's like you can't treat them all the same. You can't approach every lesson the same and things like that. So. You gotta be open to how am I gonna reach?
Speaking of that, speaking of treating them all the same, Have you heard of this show? It's a show on Hulu called Little Fires Everywhere.
No.
Okay. Because it's to me,
Yeah.
I see the show as in going into the dynamics of how the mom doesn't idolize all the kids the same way, and it's causing issues with the way that she's parenting or becoming a unfit mom. So, and the grooming of the child, that is, because she's showing more favoritism to one kid or other kids than her. So, like than some of the other kids.
Is that reasonable? Like, and are the kids that feel like less favored? Is it noticeable, and is it impacting them?
Oh, it's definitely impacting them.
I gotcha.
Reasonable? What do you mean by reasonable?
I mean, sometimes you may have to give a kid more attention because that's just their love language. They need more attention.
Yes. So she's giving the kid more attention who's more like her versus the kid who needs the attention.
Gotcha. Right.
So it can be kind of like favorable or unfavorable depending on the circumstance.
And it would be reasonable if the kid needs more attention. Okay. And yes, she has to deliver more attention, even though the kids may not totally understand or agree, but based on her assessment. But
yeah.
But you're just saying, oh, she just grabbed her. She's basically making her mini me and everybody else.
Yes, basically. And then the other ones, so she has 2 girls and 2 boys, and one of the girls is like her mini me, and the other one is the opposite, and she's kind of growing into herself, and she's finding out that she likes girls. And she hasn't been able to tell her, but she told the dad. But the dad hasn't told the mom. So it's more so like she's not understanding why she's doing these things, changed her hair, all these things that's happening. So she's not really... But she's being a bad mom. Sorry, she's been a very, very bad mom. So I just wonder, you should probably give it a chance, check it out. I think you'll find it interesting as far as the dynamics, and it's also quite entertaining. It's with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington.
Okay. Oh, I did see that
preview. Yeah.
I sure did, and I thought it was interesting that they paired up. Yeah. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was good. They're both, just similar.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Really, yeah, because I feel like that. Yeah.
And in terms of their time in the game, in terms of their look, I'm wondering if they might be the same age. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, and also because of like their passion, like they bring so much passion to their acting is like phenomenal. So you should check it out when you get a chance. But yeah, I don't want to give too much spoilers.
So today's topic, let's jump into the topic. So today's topic is the power of being relatable. And it kind of goes to what we were just talking about.
Yes.
Just, sometimes you gravitate to things because you can relate to things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we forget the power of being relatable, how much that brings to your audience, how much that brings to just enhancing your brand and enhancing, your business, or just enhancing yourself as, a leader and things like that, being able to relate and get people to listen or follow or you can influence them based off of that being relatable. So I thought of something. So how do people, when you just meet someone, like, how do you gravitate?
Maybe you should answer that. Maybe you should start off and tell us what is your experience with it.
I mean, so it's like, it's almost like made me think, because I was watching a
okay, so it's something related to shows. Okay,
watching a show on Netflix, and I think it's on First Sight, something like that. When you marriage on first sight.
Married at First Sight. I mentioned this to you when we talking about Love Is Blind.
Right. So now I'm watching the 9th season 9 on Netflix.
Okay, because I'm on 10. Oh wait, yeah, I think I'm on 10. I'm on the current one, so yeah, I watch it weekly. So.
Okay, got it. So when they bring people together, so when you bring any group together, whether you're gonna select groups of learning in school, sometimes you can pick who you're gonna study with, sometimes you're gonna pick who you're gonna date. So it's like, how do people gravitate towards each other? I mean, so I first think that there's like a relatable. You may look at them and be like, oh, can this person relate to me? Is that
You can look at them. You can look at someone and see if they're relatable. You mean like just as far as your appearance?
The first thing I would think would be appearance.
Okay.
The reason why I say that, okay, so like one of the characters in the show, you're like, what kind of girl you're looking for, and it was a black guy, and he said, instead of saying like a black girl, he was like, just somebody, he starts describing like a typical black girl, but he don't say black girl. Then
so what did he say? Features, like full features and stuff like that. He
starts telling features. Then he's like, that can understand me and things like that.
Understand you? Understand what?
Because you're gonna automatically assume that a black person will understand another black person.
That she'll be able to identify with your upbringing because she is of the same ethnic background.
Right. And another word for identify is relate to. She'd be able to relate to because same background. Right. And there was a Caucasian white girl, and she instead of saying I want a white boy, she said I want somebody with lighter skin complexion. She was.
Oh, really? Wow.
And
well, she can get a lighter skin complexion, but that means he's white.
Right. But then she's like, to just say, are you saying you want a Caucasian male? She said, oh yeah, But
okay.
So just get back to it. So just when people initially meet, of course, it depends what type of experiment. What are you forming a team for? Relatable. Let's say you see somebody that let's say you working out, or let's say you are fit and you see somebody else fit. You might be like, okay, we can relate in that area. Or the person shows up and they have a cross necklace, or they have a
common interest.
Logo. Right. So there's things that you look to relate to, and we can say common interest. We can say identify. These are all just play on words.
Experiences, hobbies, blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Yeah, but these are the things that bring inform people together.
Right.
But that just, so when you think about relatable, I mean, that's it on a smaller scale. But I think on a bigger scale, when you look at social media and things like that, are people really relating to the people that they follow, or are they just follow them because that's something that they want to be?
Are they relating to the people that they follow, or what?
Or are they, or are you being influenced by someone that you just want to become, or something like that?
Okay. I think both. Okay. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, it's like, why do you follow people? I mean, I follow some people because, let's say, in the music, okay, I might follow somebody because I can relate to them musically, or I can relate to them because they're a father. I can relate to them because of the type of work they do, or, just different scenarios. In terms of wanting to be anyone, I mean, there's some positions you would love to be in. Okay, I would love to be like a sports general manager. Yeah. So
okay.
Who's but do I follow any sports general managers? No, but
I see. So it's not necessarily a goal of yours to be, but sometimes it's something you, I guess, inspiration. I don't know. I guess inspiration is the word. I don't know, something that you're intrigued by, so you continue to follow it because of your interests lie in that particular area.
I mean, yeah. Are you follow things because you're inspired by it? And
right. Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out for you, because you said like, I don't want to be a general manager, whatever.
Yeah, sports like that's like a goal dream, but I'm not. Am I seeking that? No, I'm not putting that into practice. I'm not setting things up to be that way. But just in terms of, I think that the purpose of building your audience is you want people to be able to relate to you, not just see you looking flashy, not just see you, but there should be like some substance or something that you share that people could feel a little bit more connected.
Yeah, but I'm asking, well, you're speaking about it, so I'm asking you in turn as far as like, how are you finding or your relatability to this? Like, and I'm taking it to the example that you gave about not wanting to be this particular sports journalist. So it's like, well, why do you follow this person? What reason? Like,
I mean,
what are your reasons?
Well, you could follow someone if you're trying to learn about the business. That would be one reason for me. I may follow other musicians to be inspired. Others have a different style. There's some things I want to take away from that to add to my arsenal, to add to my game.
Okay.
So then there's people that you follow, because they're funny, they're silly, and you just need to laugh every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't think I follow anyone that like, oh, they influence me, or they, or I want their life. But no, I think my purpose of following people, and there's maybe some people that I can relate to based on what they have shared in their lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess for me, my following kind of like is all on a spectrum of like a coaster, because it varies. Because I have a lot of interests, but not all the interests are things that I necessarily want to become in the future or later. It's more so like, oh, that's intriguing. So I follow people for all number of reasons. One, to learn things that I didn't know anything about, because they'll give me a better idea. The other, something personal to me, a hobby that's important to me, is like more so like, oh, this is an interesting switch up as far as like my cooking. Just inspiration, like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that's a great recipe. Oh, that's nice. Or admiration, like, oh, they do something totally different, although we both cook. But I have a lot of people that I follow that do totally different dishes, totally different recipes, totally different things. So it's just like that stuff some of that stuff I'm not going to do, or that I don't do or know anything about. So I can look at them and be like, oh, I learned that. Oh, I didn't know about that. Like baking. I don't bake a lot. So I learned a lot about baking through my other foodie friends or food blogger friends, because I don't do it. So especially not as often. Like I'm really like a quick fixer baker. Like not all my items are from scratch. That's what I mean by that. So I think it's more so like all these people I don't necessarily relate to necessarily in all spectrums. But I can learn something from them, or what they're saying may be something that I find intriguing or funny, like you said, or, that makes me want to continue to follow them.
Yeah. So if you can't relate, so if someone doesn't relate to you, then it's hard for you to lead them. And that's kind of like the journey I want to talk about.
If someone doesn't relate to you, it's hard for you to lead them.
Like, right. So if you're a leader, and it's kind of difficult, and if the people that you are have oversight over, or supervising or managing, when you're not relatable, it's a little more difficult. Okay. For you to be considered a real good leader when you're not.
Explain. Relatable. Okay, continue to explain this.
Okay.
This idea.
Right. I mean, like, okay, so like one thing, and I like people who have like kind of like just perspective about, where they are at in terms of whatever privilege or platform they got. One thing when I was thinking about this topic is, Aaron Rodgers, he's a champion quarterback, and he still plays for the Green Bay Packers. And they were asking him about the quarantine, and he's like, how are you doing? And he's like, basically, this is not his words per se, but he was like, my story can't compare to the average story, because, I'm staying in a house, but guess what? I got a nice house.
Yeah, you got like a 5,000 square foot house. Probably a gym, basketball court, all types of stuff in there. Right.
Probably got 2 refrigerators,
jacuzzi, and everything.
When the thing went down, he probably had food delivered and all kinds of things. So
chef.
So he's saying that, I can't even relate to what people are really.
Other people are going to, yeah.
Yeah. So then it's like,
that's fair.
Yeah, it's fair, and that's true, and because that it's different. We know that.
Yeah.
It's a different game. So there is a bar of relatability in that aspect, but to the point in terms of leading and do people follow people who they can't relate to? I think in order to be a good leader, you have to be relatable.
In order to be a good leader, I guess you have to. It depends upon what they're leading and whom needs to follow. So, because when you said I kind of question your statement regarding in order to be a leader, you can't. I feel like people follow celebrities all the time, and it has nothing to do with their leadership qualities. They just as they like, oh, this looks great. Like, I mean, think about Kim Kardashian.
Okay, when I say follow, I'm not saying follow. Check on the social media. I'm saying follow as, hey, this is what they're doing. I'm following them, and I'm going to.
Oh, wow. I know that people
Yeah,
went to that extent to do those
yeah,
things. Okay. That's like
yeah.
almost like
I'm more like a
mentorship.
follower. Yeah, more like a follower in work, a follower
Yeah, it's
in
like mentorship.
church.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
follow, yeah, not like just a social media. Hey, yeah, I follow this person. But I do think that, yeah, if there's a relatable characteristics to it, then yeah, you might hold them in a different regard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah, you
The
might.
influence that they have,
Right,
you know?
right, right. So, okay,
Yeah,
so
I find
you have
that
another
interesting.
question. You- Did you have another question about that? Or
No,
go ahead.
no, no, no. I was just wondering because I was now that I have a better understanding of where you were going with as far as like following people and the Aaron Rodgers person because I didn't know who that person was until now. So
Yeah, so I'm more about, okay, just following in the workplace, following, uh, just in. I mean, even like people who do what do you call it, like marches and things like that, and
oh,
protests and
okay.
things like that. Uh, there has to be some people have to be able to relate to you. You can't just leave them, just come out the house and think that people are going to follow you.
Yeah, I guess
Just
that's contingent upon the cause that they're marching for.
right,
So,
right,
and I
yeah.
don't feel like necessarily people have to can relate to it. I feel like they can know someone closely related. Like it could be a closely related experience through others.
I mean, yeah, you relate to the passion, you can relate to the pain.
Right.
You can relate, yeah. But
Or from someone else's experience. Like we, a lot of times, just even in marriage and relationships, a lot of our experiences aren't necessarily our own. They're sometimes passed down from to us. And we kind of like hold that relatability sometimes in our future, even if it's not our necessarily our own.
so, what have been your best experiences as an employee? Describe, were you your best supervisor? Were you able to relate to them or not? Like, let's test the theory.
Um, I don't think I was able. I'm thinking. I've had one manager I think throughout my entire career who really pushed for me to excel. And I cannot say that I've seen that type of manager before. And it was very early on in my career, whereas then she said, hey, you're in college. Um, these are some classes you should take in this field. I'm a contract specialist so in this field so that you can get your level one, blah, blah, blah. Like she came to me with that information. And then not even that, she continued to come to me and check in and so forth. Whereas in my career that I found thereafter, it was no other manager like that. That was kind of like, but to me, that was more so a mentorship. Whereas I feel like mentorships aren't looked at all the time as in asking the person what exactly they need or want to see out of their future. It's more so you telling them blah, 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 blah. It's not kind of like, okay, well, this is what you see. Let me kind of direct you in this way so that you can understand these are the things that are possibilities available to you. Whereas now I think it's just like, do as I say, da 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 da. Like it's more so one of those type of things. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I like this type of mentorship.
Yeah, I mean, I would think like I'm in a mentorship program that's slowing down. Well, we should be coming to the end of the quarter and
Okay.
switching partners or whatever. Uh, and it has gone well. And comparing it to other colleagues who are doing it as well, I would think that ours is probably the best relationship, the best forming, most productive in terms of, we have met our time, we meet often, we talk often. It wasn't just the introduction, then disappear, which what happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think a lot of it is being a mentor and even being in a position of leadership. I think storytelling is the best thing in the world.
Oh, me too. Agreed.
and and uh and if you even if you see like speakers on TV, preachers, you see instructors, professors, like at
TED
commissioning
Talks. TED
ceremony.
Talks. Some of those people are not necessarily speakers. They just happen to wing it sometimes.
Yeah. And story, and my mom, she's a great storyteller, and Jamie Foxx, he's a great storyteller.
Oh yes, he is.
Yeah.
I've seen him tell stories before.
Right. And it's like you really capture your audience. But in a mentor or even a leadership role as a manager, supervisor, when you're one-on-one with your employee or with your mentee, telling the story of your own journey, telling the story of a journey of somebody, of your journey to get them to relate to you, I think it's more powerful than just telling them, hey, do this,
some
do
generic
that,
story.
Go wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of like where I want to go with the power of being relatable and how it can impact you as a leader and the people that follow you. And when I say follow is, well, and at the same thing, it would cross over as social networking as well. When people, tell stories on their social network, I'm sure that is more, powerful than just posting your picture on the beach.
And having a long caption about it, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's like storytelling is really the art to being a good leader. But even sometimes,
or gaining relatable people to follow you.
Correct. Right. So, and sometimes, what do you think about? Let's say you were a coach. I'm always talking about coaching or something like that, like a sports coach or whatever.
Oh, great! I'm a sports coach. Know nothing about sports.
Or something that was critical, and you needed to motivate a team, whether it was a work team, whether it was a sports team, a medical team.
Gotcha.
Would you tell a lie to motivate them? A story?
Probably not.
If you knew that it would, but if you knew if you told this lie, you told this story, it would get them to achieve the goal.
So give me an example. Seems like you have an example ready at the tip of your tongue.
I mean, it's like, let's say, like, even like military or whatever. Oh, you could be like, hey, yeah, we were overseas and our guys were going down and we did this. You're just trying to pick them up and let them know, hey, I overcome this obstacle and you can overcome it too.
Yeah.
Would you tell a lie if you feel like it would influence the behavior of the group to succeed or overcome the obstacle?
It all depends on how much I needed to get the goal accomplished.
Okay. Right.
So,
okay.
Because some people, and it depends on the group that I'm motivating. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm motivating a group of younger kids who haven't experienced a lot in life, then I got to embellish a lot to get them to understand that, you got to sometimes embellish to get them to understand the sincerity or the seriousness behind accomplishing the goal. Does that make sense? Or what it takes to be a team player and how, other people have to fall in line in order for the whole team to excel. Because that's what I feel like they do with sportsmen. That's what sportsmanship is to younger kids anyway.
Right. Yeah.
It's teaching them that.
Right. And I mean, I think in all performances, whether you're presenting a big presentation in front of a board, whether you're presenting at a graduation or presenting, are you performing a surgery? I think being in the right mental state is the key.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And sometimes the talk that you get before the big stage or whatever it is, it can impact you. Would you bend the rules or would you lie to influence a good outcome? I mean, right. I mean, of course, it is wrong. Do people lie to be...
all the time. White lies exist for a reason.
Right. And do people lie to be more relatable?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In every part of life. Dating.
Okay.
Dating, relationships, work.
Okay.
People, don't you lie? A lot of people lie on interviews all the time to get the job. Yeah. They say what you think you want them to hear all the time to get the job. Yep, I can do that. Never done a day in your life. Yep, I've done that. Never been a part of a team a day in your life.
That's true. Uh,
And I'm sure we all have at some point in our lives told a white lie to get past the point of feeling like we're inept or not capable of achieving something that someone may think is something that we should.
yeah. Um, so I have this article that I read. It's called it's a Forbes article, and it's called 4 Habits of Relatable Business Leaders That Will Help You Succeed. And I want to share these 4 habits and discuss these 4 habits and what you think about them. So the first one I know you were like, it says
What?
number 1 is constant network. Constantly networking.
Yes.
Conferences, meet people, maintain those relationships without it being pestering. And also, if you reach out to people and try to form like a true, genuine connection.
Yes, yes, being genuine. Yes.
And so number 1 kind of goes with number 2, and it says show your genuine self.
Yes.
Because I think, and I think you agree, it's easier just to be yourself and accept those who accept you, versus have to play someone fake. Then every time you come around these people, you gotta be fake again.
That sounds ideal in theory, but there are a lot of people who look at situations, look at circumstances, look at environments, people as well, and they try to become them or try to impress them by assuming what the other person will like.
Okay.
Or they get to know them and the things that they do like and try to become that to be more likable or relatable according to the topic, that we're discussing.
Yeah. And it can be dangerous in the home, and it can be dangerous at work.
It's dangerous, and it's a dangerous territory no matter what. Whenever you're not being genuine, you are embarking on dangerous territories. Okay.
Yeah. Right. And people who are, fake, or they are unstable in personality like that. Yeah, it's definitely dangerous, because then you put up this persona and you act like you're into this, but then all of a sudden, it'll come out, hey, you actually are not a fan of fine arts. You're not a fan of opera.
Right.
And these are things, and I even.
Well, the thing is, it comes out in the wash, like you can't pretend for so long, and that's kind of how it's interesting that you're bringing this up, because that's kind of how I manage my relationships or getting to know someone. So everything in the beginning is more of an observation to me. None of which is just like, oh, you're like this or you're like that. It's all observation, because I know that like whom you are now and whom you are 6 to a year, month later is going to change, because I need to see which things are actually your habits, which are habits that you're just trying to get me to like about you. Because I express.
And it's a tricky balance, because you want to be yourself at work. You want to be yourself.
Oh, yeah.
At home in a new relationship.
Yeah.
But you need to be flexible.
Do you find that, yes, I agree with the flexibility. Do you find that you're least of yourself or less of yourself at work than at home or around people outside of work?
Yes, I'm less of myself at work, because in actuality, I don't care. I don't care about your project, and I don't care about your deadline. So. But at work,
that's real.
I want to help you meet your mission. I want to do these
have a mission to get your paycheck, because you got a lifestyle you want to live outside of work.
Yeah. In terms of like, am I laughing at sorry jokes? No. That like if
I see you're not faking that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fake that. I'm not gonna go to the meeting and somebody tells some joke and it's like, if it doesn't go over good, then hey, it didn't go over good. I mean, if I was younger, maybe, but now at this stage of my life,
younger. So age now is a factor in how you're going to address these things.
Absolutely, At
Okay.
age, the older you get, the more you know that the older you get, the more comfortable you get with who you are. And then guess what? This is who I am, and I don't play that game. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
I feel like I'm very
so
comfortable now. So I don't know if I want to get any older because it's not going to
it's
turn
gonna
out
get
well for
worse.
some people.
Yeah, it's going to get worse. Yeah,
And I
it's
realize that people don't even favor that. So it's interesting, with this whole relatability thing and being genuine. Like, okay, speaking of that, being completely honest, I have one of my friends. It was some time back, and we had went out or whatever, and we were at a bar or whatever drinking. So I don't know if alcohol was a reason for it or whatnot. And she told me, she said, "Well, a lot of people think that you come off as a know-it-all." And I said, "Okay,
mhm.
well, give me some examples. Know what? What exactly?" And she was like, "Well, you just come off as a know-it-all." I'm like, "About what? About give me? I need some. And who? Like, like what? Because now I need to, get into the relatability. Relatability. Who are these
Yeah.
people? How they don't know that I don't know this? Like, or like, so what?" But she could never identify the people who said it and what was it in reference to. So in my
Well,
mind,
yeah.
I am. You're right. Because you're not giving me anything to tell me that I don't know. And it's just like, I don't think that I'm a know-it-all, but because I find myself entwined with a lot of things, I may know bits and pieces about things. And I find that some people don't like to relate to a person who who's always inquisitive. So my
Okay.
conversation can be a little bit more come across as a know-it-all, quote unquote, because I'm kind of having challenging conversations or thought-provoking conversations that may come across as I play the devil's advocate, whereas I may not know fully the whole context of it, but I know I may have experience in it, read about it, blah, blah, blah. So I
Are you
think, huh?
are you the type of person? Let's say you're amongst your friends, and let's say you have two people there that are new to the group or friends of friends. Are you the type of person to call people out on their BS? Like if you hear somebody saying something that's just not adding up, or
New,
would you let
new
somebody be
to a
wrong?
group? New to a
Yeah,
group of friends or just in my group of friends?
new to you had your group of friends. Let's say the girls are out and they
Uh-huh.
brought a friend with them. Everybody brought it's like six of you guys, and two people you barely know.
Oh,
And
no. No, I
so
see. Call them out as far as if they're saying something and it's not adding up to what I've heard or my
right, and
experience.
yeah, would you let somebody be wrong, be inaccurate, even if you only knew a little bit? Okay,
Absolutely. I've done it many times. The
right.
problem, so that's a good example because the problem with me is
Okay,
that I have similar issues or have similar issues before. So when I am around a group of people, a different group of people, the same friend said that a few of her friends didn't like me. And I was like, well, why? And it was like, well, because you just have your own opinion. I was like, well, they had their own opinion too. So the thing is, like, what happens is like someone else give their opinion, I give my opinion in conversations, but it's because you don't favor it, you don't like me. Does that make
so
sense? Like,
so then that goes back to so in a new setting, or do you give your opinion all the time, or would you just let information
well, if
get
you're
put out there and you just like
well, if
not
you're
be
in a
engaged in
commercial,
every conversation?
well, if you're kind of like in the conversation and someone's
Okay,
talking and everybody's just talking about clearly
right,
everybody's talking from the experience level, why are
right.
you get mad at me from my experience level?
But I mean, I do get your point, and I actually agree with your point in terms of yeah, if you have if you're well rounded with information, and no, I'm not
That's a good way of putting it.
yeah, I'm not a nurse, but if somebody was talking about some nursing or some medical stuff, I might be able to follow along a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I'm not
Oh,
a
just try to
tech.
relate it with your
Yeah,
wife. Your wife does
yeah,
hair, and she
yeah,
mentioned to you about the process of doing something.
yeah.
Although you don't do hair, you may like, oh, I may
Right,
heard this remember, but you give credit to because of course, it's
right,
like I don't
right.
know it, but
And there's and you may be like me, where sometimes I watch documentaries where I don't even think that I just watching it because I know nothing about it.
right, that's exactly how I am.
Right.
That's
So
exactly how I am.
therefore, so then people who are like that, yeah, we are going to have some idea of
Right.
every little bit of thing.
But
So
I
therefore,
preference it.
right,
I preference it. I've learned to preference it because of some of my encounters by saying, oh, I read this. Oh, I saw this. Oh, I know someone who's experienced this. So I
okay,
don't take credit for it. So I'm not coming off as a know-it-all. I'm coming off the person who read about it, heard about it, somebody told me about it, you know?
Yeah. But I guess, if so then now we got to go about self-awareness. So then in that group, so whoever that group said it, do you feel like in that setting, are you the dominating speaker in that group?
No, because I'm a person that likes to, like, as much as I like to have conversation with people, I like to hear others' opinions and their thoughts because I feel that it's going to vary from mine, because my opinion is not going to be necessarily yours. We just happen to be, and I actually was talking with a male friend. We were talking about compatibility versus like compromise, and how like if you're more compatible in certain ways, that compromise isn't a big adjustment for you. And I had to kind of like, I'm still kind of thinking that process through, but it's just like, if I was in a more compatible group of people, this wouldn't be a problem. So sometimes it's not an issue that you're in a group and the other group of friends don't like you, or the one person don't like you that came into the group, because I don't know how they operate. They might be used to just having you one-on-one. They might not be just used to having attention. And now they have somebody else who knows just as much, or they might be used to saying all the things that I'm saying. I don't know. So it's like, I'm now competing with the person who I don't know why is competing with me. I'm
gonna pull the thread on this. Okay. So then, how about, because I was told this by an ex-girlfriend. She said, she said, David, I hate arguing with you because when you argue, you are so adamant that you are right and what you're speaking is facts. So it makes it hard because the way your approach and the way your passion, and then you tell me because I don't know this, I'm makes me feel smaller than you because you're throwing all this other information, convoluting the argument, whatever, trying to prove your point. So I say that. So when you and your settings, because your friend is, or your friend or your associate, they're accusing you of being a know-it-all or whatever. Yeah. Do you think that you may have the issue that I have? I still have this issue too. And where when you're arguing a point, you're. Yeah.
I feel like you and I are debaters. Like we enjoy conversations, we enjoy hearing perspective, but sometimes that can be intimidating to others who are not necessarily understand that. Correct. But I don't take that as a fault. Like I don't think it's a bad thing.
Right. And I actually think I have another friend like this. He's actually my best friend. We both argue the same, and it's really just passion.
Yes.
Yeah. It really comes down to passion.
Yeah.
And
that's why we're work spouses. Right. We're compatible.
Right. But sometimes you have to check yourself. Cause I know you check yourself, but sometimes I had to check myself.
Oh yeah.
And I had to check myself at work. It was recently at work.
Recently? Oh shit.
When I said recently, it was January. And it was we were at work. And I was with a young white girl, and we went to lunch. It's just me and her, and it might have been two white girls.
Okay.
And that we went with, and they're a little younger than me. Okay. And it was right after Kobe Bryant died.
Oh.
And she said something like, "Well, didn't he rape somebody?" And then it made me like I almost went nuts on her. But then I saw like how she was kind of receiving it. Then like how her tone changed, and her eyes and cheeks lit up red and stuff.
Just from your nonverbal response.
From my
did you verbally say something?
I might have had a look, and I think I might have said something, but not like I didn't come at her like we in the house. We were still at lunch in a food court.
Yeah.
But then I checked myself. I said, okay, I can't give her house David.
No, you cannot.
Yeah. But
that's you becoming less of yourself at work so that you can.
Yeah. So we frame how I'm going to discuss this issue with her, and we came to a middle ground, and that was that. But So I say that because even though in different settings, different groups,
Yes,
you do have to
you gotta
adjust.
adjust. You gotta
Right.
be flexible. Yeah, I totally get that. So the thing is, like for me, when I hear that information, when someone tells me that about a group of people and they don't give me any, I guess, background or to make the adjustment, one, I'm not most likely to be around those group of people. And two, if I do have to be around this group of people, I'm being very cordial and surface. And I'm only going to kind of like communicate on a in the house level with a person that I know the best at that place. Does that make sense? Because now I know my audience, so now I know how to make the adjustment not to come across or have that conversation with someone who don't know me. Because I think it's depth. Like you have to know the person to be open, and not everybody is open to getting to know them. So you can say something that can come across offensive because you don't actually know them. So going back to your point about the Kobe situation, you know, you're a big Kobe Bryant fan, as we all know. You rave about Kobe, you know,
Right.
You idolize him, all those things. But she may have something more related to the incident. Maybe she's been in a situation where she's been,
You're absolutely right. And I thought about that. And even people in Colorado, they feel differently than people outside of it. You know, you just know, and women may feel differently. But one thing I said to her, because I think she's like 25, this happened.
So she's not 30, she's in her 20s, got it.
Yeah. So this happened 14 years ago. You know, the incident. No, the incident happened 17 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, 17 years ago from 25, my math is you were 8 years old. So did you really get the full story?
You're right.
So one thing I asked,
the full scope of
So one thing I said, did you ever look up, as when you got older, did you ever look up
the full
detail and details of the court proceedings and things like that? And like she wasn't totally sure on it. So then I kind of cut her a break, and the way we were able to simmer things down, I said, hey, yeah, do your research on it, you know. And I actually went back and did some more research too, because I was like, okay, sometimes I want to make sure that I'm right about that thing and things like that.
That's a good point. So that's a good point to relatability. Like you see how you became in this situation, and then you read your audience, and then you thought about it. Mm-hmm. That's what makes you and I differ from the other people who do the opposite of like, let's put her on the spotlight for a second. Like she didn't even consider all those things. She's just saying what she's heard of the general public, not knowing the details of nothing. So I feel like that's kind of what happened when sometimes you go into these social groups or around other people, whether it's work or personal, where they can kind of like judge a book by its cover because of the non-relatability factor or that they even think about. So I cook, I cook. I'm almost certain that if I was in a room full of chefs, they could have said something to me that would be relatable to me. Someone who's maybe a non-cook, it was like, yeah, I use this tool. And somebody like, well, why would you use that tool? That's stupid. That don't make no sense. They can't relate because they don't cook like us or anything like that. So it's kind of the same way when it comes to titles and stuff like that. Like they were like, that is stupid. I would never buy that equipment that much. That doesn't make any sense. So why, but a person who cook will like, oh, this equipment is like helpful. It takes out the kinks, the air pockets, like, because if you're cooking, you're experiencing a different thing and you understand, although we may not be at the same age level or, have that understanding, but it's because we have that experience.
And being, a person that observes society, I think one of the biggest mishaps and misfortunes is how some people miscalculate or they
can't kids. This is a Zoom call, conference call.
Right. Bring it down.
Hey guys.
They're like, oh, yeah, give me 5 more minutes, right? So one of the biggest mishaps is other people, they interpret the passion of Black people.
Yes.
And, they see Black people, getting loud, dancing, or arguing loud, but arguing loud may not be nothing. That's that's just a regular conversation.
How we coexist.
Right. So it's like it's a lot of different things that when you can't relate to certain things, then you misinterpret it.
Yes.
You misdiagnose it.
Yes. All this preach, Pastor.
Right. Yeah. So these are things that it's like, you look at, even some of the police brutality and things like that. You be like, sometimes you could read a certain culture, but and you can be like what they were doing, what their intentions were, and things like that, and be like, oh, he wasn't going to do nothing, he wasn't going to run, or he wasn't going to fight the cop, he wasn't going to do that. Like based on you can relate to, he was just talking, just gestures. That was just gestures, right?
Yeah.
Here, that's not fearing for your life using gestures,
right?
So
right. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. It's a lot of cultural appropriation with it. It's a lot of gestures, physical and nonverbal, verbal and nonverbal things, and physical gestures. But I don't think that. I think for us, like yourself, you and myself included, is that we kind of get the short end of the stick because we're a little bit more observant in our surroundings. So like you just exuded how observant you were when you talked about the Kobe Bryant situation to that other person. She was not that observant. So I think that's kind of what happened in social settings, work settings too, and home. If you become the more observant person to kind of like self-aware, what you say is self-evaluate, especially at a split moment's notice when you recognize kind of like the tone is changing or the dialect has changed or someone's pulling away, you kind of get the short end of the stick because you're doing the other person a disservice because they're not taking the time out to actually understand where you're coming from or your perspective.
That's a good point, but it's like
because you have people.
But that situation
would have been totally different.
Yeah, but that's correct. But in that situation, it's like when you want to deliver a message, there's a certain spread that you have to deliver it with.
Yes.
For certain people.
Yes.
And I knew I was passionate about it, and I couldn't just bang on her and just go hard on her like I wanted to. But or like if it was somebody else, if it was my cousin, or if it was a guy, a guy, I probably would approach it more aggressively. But I saw how her defense and defense mechanism possibly a little bit. I had to kind of just repackage, how I'm going
to your message. Yep.
Deliver the message, right? Or else she may not receive it, And that's the same thing. Sometimes if you are too harsh and you barking at your kids or you're barking at your spouse, you have to.
I think what you're describing, David, I think this is my comprehension of leaders.
Okay.
Not to toot our own horns here, but I'm just saying, if you can actually do all these things, same with people who can tell a story great, because you mentioned about people who tell great stories or deliver great messages. Those people exude leadership qualities because they're not only telling the story, but they also evaluating the audience every time they're getting to another point of the story or another spot of it. If you're able to make that adjustment so quickly and be so flexible to people that you may not even know, have never seen in your life, you can definitely do that as a leader to lead a group of people to a certain thing, to a certain, like hierarchy, whatever, or get a task done. You shouldn't necessarily have to lie.
True.
If you have some qualities that exist in that, because you can then make the adjustments as you see fit by just using your environment or your experience with those group of people as, leadership as an example.
And that goes into point 3. So point 3 is put the focus on others. And
it says what?
Put the focus on others.
Oh, I could have wrote this article. My goodness.
And particularly where they said they believe that a relatable leader is observant of his or her surroundings as well as the feeling of a place.
Amen.
But that's a key part too, the feeling of a place. So it's like I observed this person and
constantly,
what place she may be in, and then I also could also predict what place I could put her in if I keep going, or I can redirect it and where I want her to be placed at. And I was able to do that. And the last thing was deliver constant value and fess up when you can't do something.
Yeah. That being honest, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Which a lot of people
they will lie, like you just mentioned, to get stuff done. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great points. I feel like those are spot on. They're definitely relatable to our life today, at work, at home, in personal, intimate relationships, as well as friendships. Definitely more so with work, because I feel like work, because of you have to go in putting on a different representative. You and I know we both work with someone who put on a different representative at work than they did outside of work, but it was like overzealous. Like, why do you got to do so much? Like, to the point they wouldn't even self-identify with their own ethnic background. Like, that was like, what?
Yeah.
So
and that goes back to our old topic when we talk about, I think it was like identity. We talked about identity in one of our podcasts.
And like also was kind of like the more like kind of closing out. Remember back in our other episode where we talking about like changing up your dating pool, and I was saying like do things that you're kind of like interested in too, to find other people that may be interested, kind of like the likability, the relatability situation, because that'll introduce you to a different pool of people. So we kind of like touch on this topic in multiple ways, I'm sure, throughout our 25 episodes that we have, so it's like, you got to change up your environment sometimes to find more common interests or like yoke people,
Right.
So yeah.
Any other final thoughts about the topic? Relatability?
No, I think I said a lot. I could think of some great experiences, some not so great experiences, some personal ones that wasn't so favorable. But I got tough skin, so I don't care.
Well,
what about you? Any final thoughts while we closing out?
Any final thoughts? No, just be who you are. That's really just my final thought.
Yeah.
Just be who you are. It's easier to keep up with who you are than to keep up with this fake persona or this fake person you built just to please a mate or please a company.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to close out. Be yourself, because everyone else is taken. Until next time, coworkers.
All right.
That's all for today's episode of Work Spouse. We would love for you to subscribe and leave a review. We welcome all feedback. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WorksPousePod, or email us with any questions at thyworkspouse@gmail.com. That's THYWORKSPOUSE@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe for updates on future shows. Until next time, coworkers.